Hello everybody and welcome back to PNL News. I'm your host and I am here live from the Pokemon National League Battle Competition to give you an exclusive PNL News update. The battles have been fought and here are the results from Week 1. During Week 1, there were 3 matches. The Idaho Mimikyus taking on the Oakland Incineroars. The DC Arcanines taking on the Maine Porygon-Zs, and the Seattle Desudii taking on the Hawaii Gyarados. And today we are going to be watching the film, as well as we have an exclusive interview with one of the captains of the teams. So, let's get rolling on the game film. First, oh yeah, forgot to say this. The Cincinnati Lycanrocs had to drop out due to unforeseen things. Sorry, guys. Now, let's get to the fight between the Idaho Mimikyus going up against the Oakland Incineroars. If it would load. And here we see the beginning of the battle. And it seems that the Idaho Mimikyus are sending out Spiky Juan, which is their Toxapex, while the Oakland Incineroars respond with Primarina. Primarina is going to use Hyper Voice, which is going to do a decent amount of damage to Toxapex, while Toxapex goes with Toxic Spikes, hoping to set up some traps, getting that poison damage off. The Incineroars are going to withdraw Primarina and send out Pikachu. And he's going to take poison damage due to those toxic spikes. While Spiky Juan is going to use Baneful Bunker, but it's failed. Pikachu will take poison damage from that. While the Idaho Mimikyus withdraw Toxapex and send out Hit and Run, which is their Rampardos. Pikachu is going to use Thunderbolt at this point, which is going to do a little bit of damage while he takes the poison damage. Pikachu is going to use Thunderbolt again. Not a good move, but Hit and Run is brought down to at least, I believe, Lil in the yellow. Well, he uses Earthquake, which ends up knocking out Pikachu. They are now going to send out Grimer. He's supposed to be in Alolan Muck form, but that does not work. And since Grimer gets sent out, that's going to lose the Toxic Spikes. While Rampardos is going to use Earthquake again to try and do some damage on that Grimer. Does good amount of damage, end up killing him because it is super effective. The Incineroars are going to send out Primarina again. She will not take the damage because there is no Toxic Spike, but she's going to use Sparkling Aria, which will end up knocking out the Rampardos. The Mimikyus are going to send out their captain. Be looking for the Z move here. It's going to use Mimic, which means now it knows Sparkling Aria, while Primarina is going to use Bubble Beam and do nothing due to Mimikyu's disguise. Mimikyu setting up with Swords Dance. While Mimikyu's attack will rise, while Primarina is using Scald. Will he get a burn off on this? He will not. Mimikyu's using Shadow Claw and does amazing damage, bringing Primarina down into red. Primarina will use Scald, which burns Mimikyu and brings it down into the red. He will take burn damage. Mimikyu's using Play Rough to take out that Primarina, and he will. Primarina faints. But Mimikyu takes burn damage. Will he get knocked out? No, he will not. Now the Oakland Incineroars are sending out Lapras. And we have the Z move done by the Idaho Mimikyus. which looks to be the Porygon-Z, which will end up being Never-Ending Nightmare. And this does a decent amount of damage, bringing him down to yellow, almost in the red, while Lapras used Brine to take out the Mimikyu. Now they're throwing out Romeo, which is their Slow King. Idaho Mimikyu's the opposing Lapras is using Hydro Pump, which does almost nothing because it is not very effective. Now that the Slow King's using Calm Mind, hoping to raise the special attack and the special defense. Lapras will now use Ice Beam, which also does nothing, not very effective. And the Slow King goes to use Calm Mind again, bringing up that special attack and the special defense. Lapras is using Ice Beam again. Not very effective. Will not do that much. What is Slow King going to use? Slow King is going to use Trump Card. Brings the Lapras down into the red. Lapras once again uses Ice Beam. Think they're running out of moves here. That will not do anything to the Slow King. While Slow King uses Slack Off to heal himself. Lapras will once again use Ice Beam, while Slow King uses Trump Card to finish off Lapras. And finally, we should see the Oakland Incineroar send out their captain, Incineroar. Incineroar's going to use Darkest Lariat, which is super effective and will knock out the Slow King. Now they're going to send out their legendary Suicune, which is shiny, might I add. Suicune's going to use Hydro Pump. Will this be the end? It will not. Incineroar hangs on just barely. Now he will be using Outrage and hope to do some damage. It does a decent amount of damage, but Suicune has leftovers, healing itself. And Suicune will knock out the Incineroar here using Scald. It's over. The Idaho Mimikyus take the win. Now, let's move on to the next fight, which consisted of the DC Arcanines taking on the main Porygon-Zs. The Arcanines are going to send out Klefki, while the main Porygon-Zs are going to send out Haxorus, which is shiny. Klefki using Thunder Wave, giving Haxorus a partial paralyzation. But it becomes full paralyzation. Klefki will now use Play Rough, knocking it down to a little bit in the yellow. Sorry about that, we had a little interruptions, but Haxorus' attack rises sharply due to Swords Dance. Klefki will use Play Rough again, which knocks out the Haxorus. The Porygon-Zs will now send out Torterra, which is shiny as well. Klefki's going to use Toxic, poisoning the opposing Torterra. And he will take poison damage after he uses Leech Seed on the opposing Klefki. but it will not do anything due to poison coming after. But Klefki will take damage, while Torterra takes poison damage. Klefki's going to use spikes, hoping to do damage on incoming Pokemon. Torterra will use Earthquake, which will knock out the opposing Klefki. Sorry for the video quality there, but we are back. Torterra takes poison damage. The Arcanine send out Masquerain, which has Intimidate, which will lower the Torterra's attack. Masquerain uses Sticky Web, hoping to do speed disadvantage to the other team. Torterra will use Giga Drain and heal itself at the same time. But poison damage still comes into effect. Torterra takes it. Masquerain uses Air Slash, which is super effective and will leave Torterra in the red, while it uses Leech Seed and Masquerain avoids it. But it will take poison damage to faint. Main Porygon-Z send out Porygon-Z, their captain. Porygon-Z takes spike damage and gets the speed disadvantage due to Sticky Web. Masquerain uses Scald, which does a decent amount of damage and burns Porygon-Z. Porygon-Z is now using the Z move. It is the normal type Z move, which will be Z conversion. Porygon-Z is now a dark type, and it will be hurt by its burn. Porygon-Z is using Dark Pulse, which will end up knocking out the Masquerain, but will take burn damage. The Arcanine send out Tauros, which has Intimidate and lowers the Porygon-Z's attack. Tauros uses Fake Aid, which will not kill the Porygon-Z, but make it flinch, and it will take burn damage. Tauros uses Smart Strike, which will end up killing the Porygon-Z. The Porygon-Z send out Aegislash, which will get caught in the Sticky Web. Tauros gets called back to the Arcanine, and Metagross is sent out. Aegislash uses Stance Change, which changes to Blade form, and it uses Sacred Sword. Metagross will now use Earthquake, which is super effective to Aegislash and will knock it out. The Porygon-Z's will now send out Blaziken, which does take damage to the spikes and will have the speed disadvantage due to Sticky Web. Metagross's Quick Claw will let it move first, and it uses Zen Headbutt, which is super effective to Blaziken and will knock it out. Porygon-Z's are now sending out Keldeo. It will be hurt by spikes and have the speed disadvantage as well. Metagross uses Zen Headbutt, which is super effective to Keldeo and will knock it out, with the DC Arcanines taking the win. Moving on to the next fight. It consisted of the Seattle DeSudiais taking on the Hawaii Gyarados, but the Hawaii Gyarados opt to take the forfeit. The Seattle DeSudiais win. Now, we have a very special guest. One of the captains, the captain of the DC Arcanines, is here to talk about his battle. Are you there, Captain?
Well, yes. Yes, I am.
I would like to ask you a couple of questions on the battle that you had against the main Porygon-Zs. What did you think about the battle and the opponent?
Well, overall, I'd say the battle was a little one-sided, given a couple of random chances that happened. I'd say that the main Porygon-Z's team is relatively well put together and tough combatants. However, his biggest flaw would be his surprising amount of sweepers.
Nice. Who would you think is the strongest Pokemon on his team?
On his team, by far, his strongest Pokemon is his Haxorus.
And is there anything else you would like to say comment-wise?
Don't let the Haxorus set up.
Nice. Anyways, alright, yeah. That was a well put out plan by the captain of the DC Arcanines. Now, it is time to meet the schedule for Week 2. The Idaho Mimikyus will be taking on the DC Arcanines, the Hawaii Gyarados will take on the Oakland Incineroars, and the main Porygon-Zs will go up against the Seattle DeSudiais. Thank you for tuning in. This has been a PNL News Update. We will see you next time.